Singapore is set to hold its general election on July 10, a little more than a month after the country started easing restrictions aimed at containing one of Southeast Asia's largest coronavirus outbreaks. Singapore's ruling party, the People's Action Party, has never lost an election before and has governed the city-state since 1959, before the country's independence in 1965. The upcoming election is gearing up to be different from the previous ones before. Here are 5 reasons why Singapore's next election is worth watching. The Southeast Asian country is not the first to hold a national vote in the middle of the pandemic. South Korea in April held parliamentary elections that resulted in a decisive win for President Moon Jae-in's party. While the South Korean government was largely praised for its handling of the virus at the time of its elections, Singapore's response, which was initially seen as a success globally, lost some of its shine due to an outbreak within dormitories that house migrant workers. Those workers, usually men from other Asian countries working in low-wage, labor-intensive jobs, account for more than 90% of nearly 44,000 confirmed infections in Singapore, according to the Health Ministry's data. The total number of new cases reported daily still hovers in the hundreds. However, a decline in infections outside the dormitories led the Singapore government to ease much of its partial lockdown measures last month, paving the way for the election to be held. Still, some observers warned that infections in the wider community could climb in the lead up to the July 10 vote. Any surge in community cases to the polling day might lead to criticism on the government's decision, and will, therefore, backfire on its approval rating, consultancy the Economist Intelligence Unit said in a note last week. The coronavirus pandemic hit Singapore at a time when its open and trade-dependent economy was already feeling the effects of the US-China trade war. Singapore is forecasting its worst economic recession since independence in 1965. The economy is expected to shrink by between 4% and 7% this year, according to official estimates. In the past, times of crises helped the ruling party to score larger electoral wins as voters preferred a steady hand to lead the country. In the 2001 general election, which was held soon after the September 11 attacks in the the party received 75.3% of the votes. But such flight to safety often occurred at the onset of a crisis, not in the middle of it, said Eugene Tan, associate professor of law at the Singapore Management University. I think now Singapore is in the eye of the storm, and how the government has handled the crisis so far, I think that's going to come under very robust scrutiny during the campaign period, Tan told CNBC's Squawk Box Asia last week.